if you want to talk about dude movies, there's probably a bunch you can pull up, but one that most dudes will say is like on their repertoire is Roadhouse. I fuck guys like you in prison. Like, well, there you go. There it is. There's the scene. And he ripped out his throat. All I can think, whenever I think about Roadhouse, I just think about Andy Dwyer doing the rundown.
Acting everything out.
About Roadhouse. I love Roadhouse.
There's a lot of hair right there.
That's a lot
Oh my gosh,
of
it's
hair.
so magnificent.
And it's like,
Glorious
be
Lions.
nice until it's time
Lioness.
not to be nice. So good. Anyway, there was some whispers a number of years ago, back in my AMC days, that they were, actually might have been Collider days, but at any rate, that they were going to do a remake of it, but they were going to gender swap Dalton, and Ronda Rousey was going to be the lead, which, of course, she could bring the physicality, but she can't act worth a lick, so that became kind of a problem.
So it'll be Haywire too.
What's that?
Haywire too.
It would be a Haywire situation, right?
Right,
Where
right.
they'd be like dubbing the voice. But then she lost the UFC championship and her name didn't have as much buzz and that kind of fell by the wayside. And then we heard whispers about Jake Gyllenhaal doing a rake. And I believe Doug Liman directing it. Doug Liman, my director in Jumper, by the way. But that kind of slowly started to come together. And then at a recent UFC event, not all that recent, but they used a weigh-in, a real UFC event weigh-in, to then film a fake one, because this time Jake Gyllenhaal is playing Dalton, but Dalton is a former UFC fighter, a former mixed martial arts fighter. And there it is. They actually filmed it at a real UFC event. And you can see freaking the 26-pack Jake Gyllenhaal is rocking there. Give me a break. Even his love handles are muscles. I mean, look at that. Those are love handles, but they are absolutely
Let's
muscles.
zoom in on that.
Let's zoom in on these love handle muscles. That must be prosthetics. At any rate, but now there's a little bit of news, because a lot of people were very convinced. And listen, if you go back a few years, I was probably pretty convinced of this too, that this will probably be a PG-13 rated version. That you can make it really violent. A lot of stuff you could do if you don't have blood. You can be very, very violent. It's going to be PG-13. Well, according to our friends at Joe Blow, this movie's getting an R rating. This, again, comes to Joe Blow, who writes, "There's bound to be blood on the bar room floor when Doug Liman's Roadhouse remake starts a rumble in theaters. According to filmratings.com, the update starring Jake Gyllenhaal is rated R for violence throughout, pervasive language, and some nudity. Today, Today's Roadhouse remake rating clearly indicates that Liman won't be holding back when the film punches its way into cinemas, and Gyllenhaal's transformation into a chiseled behemoth won't go to waste. And I think we are actually going to see a throat get ripped out."
Yeah.
I think we're actually going to see
Yes,
a
we
throat
are.
get ripped out in this one. By the way, still with its UFC connections, and I don't know what role he's playing. I'm going to assume he's going to play that role that gets his throat ripped out. Two-division UFC champion Conor McGregor is in this movie.
Oh.
And if all he's got to do is be that, because let's face it, the dude, whoever the name of that actor is who played that dude, it's not like he's a world-class thespian anyway. So it's not really a big level bar that McGregor's got to live up to. Not a lot of acting required there, just some good physicality. Anyway, I'm excited to hear this one's rated R. It would have been fine as PG-13. You can do a lot of physical combat without like gushing blood, and it could still be thrilling. But
You can really focus on how Dalton's got that PhD in philosophy, making him the perfect cooler.
what do you think about this?
I mean, forwards ever, backwards never after you rip a throat out. You can't go PG-13. Give the people what they want, some throat-ripping good times. I think this totally makes sense, especially with the push for the UFC aspect of this, too. I think it's going to be very realistic violence. I mean, maybe the throat grip won't be super
Look how
realistic.
bulky he looks, too.
Well, he looks like a fighter. He looks like
He
he can
looks
kick
like a
your ass,
UFC fighter. Absolutely.
You know? And so I think this is definitely the right move. I'm wondering how much the Dalton character is going to remain intact, right? Of that kind of philosophy degree. And that's why I can talk to somebody about, philosophy and calm them down, or I can kick their ass. I'm interested to see how
I
that
hope
part
they
pans
keep
out.
that. Like I'm all okay with new iterations, taking liberties with characters and making updates and changes, but like that's a key part of that
It really
character. Like that's a
is.
foundational thing that makes the Dalton character so different from other stereotypical action movie lead characters.
You can still have that too in here. My only concern of it not being present was just kind of the footage that was going around, right, of the weigh-in moments with Jake Gyllenhaal, right, of really getting in the other guy's face and not being a cool, collected guy, which obviously that could be a moment.
Yes.
That could just be a thing in the movie, but it was, ooh, I hope he still retains that cool-headedness and isn't just going to fly off the handle all the time. I don't want it to be solely ass-kicking. I want there to be some cerebral moments as well.
But a lot of UFC fighters will tell you that when that happens at weigh-ins and stuff like that, that's just to promote the fight.
That makes sense.
Yeah, that may or may not be. So we'll see how this goes.
Guys, we want to take a second and thank the sponsor of today's video, Marine Layer. All of us as guys are always looking for shirts that look good, but more importantly, are comfortable. Now, I want you to imagine the softest thing you've ever worn, and that's Marine Layer. Marine Layer is the go-to brand for great fitting and stylish closet staples. Based out of California, where we are, Marine Layer clothes are that perfect mix of laid-back style that also looks and feels premium. And these t-shirts stay soft no matter how many times you wash them. It's time to invest in a wardrobe that will actually last. For a limited time, our listeners and viewers get an exclusive 15% off discount with the code Campea at marinelayer.com. Like many of you guys, when I looked at Marine Layer's website, I could tell how good their clothes looked. But it wasn't until I got my hands on them and actually put them on that I knew just how unbelievably comfortable they are, which for me is the most important thing. And guys, how many times have you felt that you were in between sizes when buying clothes? What's cool about Marine Layer is that they have in between sizes. You finally no longer have to make that difficult choice between medium and large and extra large. I think we can all admit that the perfect tee is hard to find, but look no further than Marine Layer. For a limited time, get 15% off with the code Campea at marinelayer.com. That's Campea for 15% off your entire order at marinelayer.com. Saving your closet one shirt at a time.
I like this news. What about you guys? You like that this thing's going to be rated R? I'm going to tell you, I'm legitimately getting excited for this movie. I really like Doug Liman as a director. Who doesn't love Jake Gyllenhaal? And I love the update that he was a former professional UFC fighter. I really like that. Whatever you guys think, let us know. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching this video. Make sure you like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget, we have a daily podcast called the John Campea Show podcast, available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcasting app of choice. Go and subscribe to it today so it'll be there when you need it.